Joined now to preview the World Cup final by Javier Chicharito Hernandez, who is here on behalf of Frito-Lay. Started commercial, Mike, that was directed by Michael Bay ahead of this World Cup. So he is properly into the World Cup spirit. And Javier, we thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. No, thank you very much.
I haven't seen this commercial yet. I assume 17 cars blew up in the background if Michael Bay is directing it.
No, they weren't cars, but they were another stuff that blew up. Yeah, for sure. He put his mark on the commercial.
Oh yeah, no, his mark is C4. If he's directing anything, something is exploding.
Indeed, yeah, for sure.
do you know how that works, or do you film something and then you see it later and you see cars exploding, or like
exactly like that?
Yeah.
It was more like that, yeah. Or scenes between Tim Howard and myself in the stadium were more like, of course, soccer, but without all that, like, I think, work that they do behind cameras, and with all the technology and all that stuff. They just sent me the commercial when it was ready, the long version and the small versions, and in both versions, of course, you can expect a little bit of explosions or different kind of stuff, for sure.
Chicharito, you've been in LA for 3 years now. What is sort of the most LA or the most Hollywood? Like, do you know how shoots work and how movie sets work and all that stuff? What is the most Hollywood you are now?
No, I'm more in the other type of Hollywood, in the more of like healthy, hiking, stay at home, very healthy, like routines and kind of stuff, sometimes going to yoga, sometimes workouts every single day, of course, because of my job, but I'm in that part, but as well, I'm mixing it a little bit. I haven't been in studios or sets and stuff, but I've been in some like premieres that they invite me, and I like to go and just get dressed in a different way that normally you don't dress about it. Just have fun, watch a movie, and just enjoy that. But no, about sets and how they make movies and acting and all that kind of stuff, I'm not that into.
Well, there's
I mean, I'm into it, but not acting. Yeah, but
there's more way to be Hollywood, and you can't say you're not exactly Hollywood when you're going to movie premieres. You mentioned that you're staying home, and as part of your staying home, I'm not sure if you're aware that you've become quite the viral sensation with your Call of Duty reaction videos. I've quite enjoyed that. Rage-filled. What's the angriest that you've been while playing Call of Duty, and have I already seen it on the internet?
Yeah, you haven't seen it. Yes, you can see. Yeah, some of my TikToks and my viral videos are like with some bugs or something about the game or something that I feel is completely unfair and I cannot do nothing about it. It's when I get so pissed off, and you can see it. Yes, I think that those reactions, I think it's cool because that's what I like to show to the people, that I'm like that. I could be funny, I could be smiling, but as well, I have that side that we all have, the frustration, angriness, and stuff. But with a video game, and I can show that live, and as well, we can edit and then do videos. I can show that I'm just another human, the same as everyone. It's the same. We're just same humans, just doing different stuff in this world.
I had two transitions, one of which would have been slightly rude, so I did not take the car accident transition, but I am going to take the frustration transition. Speaking of your frustration, Mexico in this World Cup really struggled, and it wasn't at all very pretty to look at. They played one of the more physical matchups. It was right there for them. They could have put Messi out of this beautiful fairy tale story that he's had, and yet it just never fully clicked for Mexico. I understand what probably ailed them this time, but my question for you is, where does Mexico go from here? They've invested a lot in this program, and the results haven't been there lately. What does the future bring for this Mexican soccer program?
I hope starting since that day that we were eliminated as Mexico as a country, they can start doing different things, because just an insane person is waiting to receive different results doing the same stuff, so that's the only thing that is in my mind, that hopefully from the top of the chain, if you want to say it, until the bottom, that we all can, for the first time, see for the benefit of a country and a sport and as a national team. That's the most important thing. But as well, that's what I think is one of our like Achilles tendons, because if we can do that click, we could be so much powerful, not only in soccer, powerful around the world. We have the diversity, we have the fauna, we have everything in our country to be one of the top countries in the world. But what is lacking, what is missing, that we all can be in the same, well, not same, but in the most likely mindset that, yeah, it's the first is for example, it's in a national team. I'm gonna put it this like in this way. It's like, for example, the most important for a national team is winning. It doesn't matter who takes the credit. And in Mexico, believe me, there's a lot of people that prefers the credit rather than put the effort for the benefit of the group.
I was going to ask what you said that insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. What would be one thing beyond, you know, people who want the credit that you would most change about the Mexican Federation or just the way that the sport works in the country?
Yeah, I like your question. I'm gonna stay a little bit ambiguous too because I haven't been there for 4 years. But it's like, I'll say that, yeah, starting with decisions that they bring more, not even tangible things, but they bring more foundations for a higher goal rather than money. Simple as that.
You mentioned that you haven't been there for 4 years, much to the frustration of several Mexican supporters, both in Mexico and here in the United States. And it seemed as though one of the struggles for the Mexican national team was to really connect with stars like you, and Carlos Vela has had a kind of an up and down relationship with the Mexican national team. Why is that? Why do you not feel fully embraced from your soccer federation? What is happening there?
I don't know, man. Really, I don't know. I think that's a very good question because, I mean, I believe that we are already grown men. Sorry, that or grown even grown women if they're involved in the federation. But it's like, we can have conversations, man. We can have conversation. I'm a 34-year guy that I'm not afraid of listening things that I don't like, but it's part of a conversation. Like, have conversations. It's about that. It's about, I don't like to hear that. You will hear my version. We're in the same channel because we want the same benefit. But that's the problem. That's why I said that if in the mindset of soccer players, people who are sports directors, people who are owners, or whatever the job that you had inside of a job inside my country in Mexico, it's about what's the higher goal. The higher goal is just for you to have millions of followers, be famous, be rich, having power, and doing all that stuff. Well, I didn't start sport, and I'm not doing that as well. I don't charge for free, and I don't do this free that I'm good at it. I learned that too. But that's a part of it, to get into places where you can receive money, but with growth. And sometimes are periods of investments without getting nothing about it, because then the product is gonna come afterwards. But yeah, that's why it stays very ambiguous, because it's being a society problem in my country since I heard my grandfather, and now that I hear my father, and now that I live it too. It's like I live it in a soccer place, but in as a country. That's the thing, is how we can get along even though we don't think the same. That's the key thing.
You mentioned sort of the decisions for money. One of the things that's been talked about quite a lot, not even just under Tata Martino, but under Juan Carlos Osorio as well, is the movement of players going to Europe from Mexico, because the domestic Mexican league is so strong, so financially powerful that, you know, young Mexicans are sort of being incentivized to stay rather than to go. Where do you come on in that side of the debate? And you went to Manchester United at a pretty young age, and you were in Europe for a very long time. How much do you think players need to challenge themselves by going abroad?
Well, I think, look, I'm going to be completely honest, and it's coming from a very modest and very humble place that I don't feel, and I will never feel more or less than anyone. But it's like, before I start achieving things that they were even beyond my dreams, I learn and I accept failure so common, if it was a part of my life. It was a part of my life. Failure in any sense, man, emotionally, mentally, in relationships, like as a son. When I put failure there, even though I don't believe it, but I want to say failure is like that you didn't get what you want. It didn't have the result that you wanted. and how to get the best out of it. Don't stay as a victim. Don't blame anyone, and see that you are the only responsible about that, or at least you are the only responsible about your reaction. That's when I think it's never going to be easier, but you are a little bit braver to say, fuck it, I'm going to go and get it, even though the price to pay are harder. It's going to get more complicated. I'm going to experience this, I'm going to experience that, but it's because of a higher goal. My higher goal, it was like, I want to see how high I can get. Let's see. I'm going to push myself, and I see, because nothing is going to be enough anyway. We have Hugo Sanchez over there, and half right now of the country doesn't even remember that he's one of the greatest, and he's not even close. He's the Michael Jordan of soccer in our world. Simple as that. What he did for Real Madrid, Pentapichichi. Just think about that. Cristiano Ronaldo just did that. Just Cristiano Ronaldo beat him in that. Imagine that. So, and we don't give him that credit, because as a manager, whatever it happened, and as a person, he has opinions. But that's the problem. We don't know in our society how to difference. I can admire something about a person, but I don't like his political views. But I can admire something about him or her. Oh, look, I admire this about her, but I don't like it in the way that she or he behaves. But that's the thing. We want and we love to polarize, right? So for that, sorry, the long story about the people to go to Europe, it's a matter of like pay the prices. It's pay the prices. It's investment. I'm going to earn less money. I'm not going to be close to my people. I'm not going to see my people that often. Whatever could happen, but that's for my growth. Like, I need to make it now worth it as well, because sometimes you can go that, but to make it worth it, you go all in. That's the situation with me, for example, in my life. There's another case, that's Carlos Vela. That's the difference between him and I. I have more love to the sport than he has, but he's way, way better in his sport than I am. But we both achieve similarities, and I even achieve a little bit more because of that willingness of like, let's go. But you know what I mean? So you can take both cases. You decide which one you are more like you have similarities, but then choose. It's possible. A guy that is not that talented to play to Real Madrid. A guy that's super mega talented playing for Arsenal. Like, that's it. Like, there's no excuse. There's no excuse, right? So that's it. It's just like, be brave enough to be uncomfortable, and that's it.
Wow, Javier, I really appreciate your perspective on all of this, and it kind of flips the narrative that goes out there whenever you hear that an individual is no longer with the national team when he still has a lot of good football left in him. Usually, the fingers get pointed to the player about being selfish, and your mentality seems like it's the right one. And the selfishness is probably coming from the federation side. So I certainly appreciate your keen insight into all of this. I do want to switch gears somewhat, and hopefully we can muster up the same kind of intensity, because I was fully captivated. But we got a huge match on Sunday. You have arguably the best player of the world versus the best player of all time. It's a dream matchup. Mbappe versus Messi. France versus Argentina. You have two teams that have figured out stingy defensive identities and just a bunch of hard workers around these stars that maybe walk a little too much around the pitch, but when they have the ball at their feet, they do things that no one else on the planet can do. What are you anticipating headed into this final on Sunday?
Oh, man, I anticipate a complete, I just say this word, a battle. It's going to be a battle. Since the beginning until the end, it's going to be a battle. And I think you described them pretty good, both teams, with their uniqueness and different styles and strategies, etc. But they all know their roles. They all are committed to the cause. And if sometimes that means that you're not going to play, or that means that you need to do whatever you have to do, they all are willing to do that. Even Messi is running so much, man. So much in the ways that we normally people were criticizing him 2 years ago, right? In the way, but regardless of that, just as an example, that even like it's not about how much you like. It's not about, this is not a marathon. The player who runs the most doesn't win. The player who runs the better normally gives more chances, or normally wins. But that's soccer. That's the beauty of soccer, of football. But But yeah, it's going to be an amazing battle. I think an amazing battle. And I think those two national teams deserve being over there because it's been a difficult path for both of them. And yeah, we're in another World Cup final on Sunday that is going to be amazing. And I think it's going to be electric, you know?
Chicharito, I asked some of our producers who are more video game savvy than me for questions about Call of Duty. So a couple of quick ones for you. One, what is your KDR?
KDR right now in the new one, I don't know, but in the old one, I was in 170.
Wow.
My highest has been like 172, something like that, yeah.
All right. What is your favorite map in the history of Call of Duty?
Verdansk and Rebirth.
What is your favorite weapon loadout?
Right now, I'm using the AK-74U as a complement from my sniper. That is the SPX-80.
And last one, just on the basis of the TikTok videos that you've put out, how quickly into learning English did you learn curse words? Because I've noticed this not just in video game playing, but also from
but you
from
mean
world
in
footballers.
English or Spanish?
In English, because like I've heard you say like F off and
I
all
learned
that.
so quick. Imagine when I get to Manchester, they have different type of curse words in England and in USA. So I knew the USA ones. No one said it over there. So I learned so quick the British like curse words in instant. And you know why? Because I come from Mexico. I come from a family that we use those words in a very funny humor without being disrespectful to anyone, right? But I think it's always easier to learn the curse word than even another stuff.
All right, Chicharito. I have one last question for you, and I'm a little nervous to ask you because I posed it to my MLS group chat, and most people had Call of Duty questions, but a couple people wanted me to ask you about the Panenka. And I know it was something that you immediately threw your hands up.
Yeah.
And ultimately it didn't end up being like too awful, but walk us through, because that's one of those gutsy things that people don't understand when they walk up to the penalty spot with that in mind. Sometimes when it goes wrong, it can look like that and provide a unique embarrassment.
And I forgot something. I was too present and too into the game that I forgot that I did the Panenka 2 weeks ago. People think that I did it because I wanted to do it because I was thinking about the old one. My problem was that because I bet you 100% sure that if I didn't do the Panenka before that I scored, in that game, if I do the Panenka, it's a goal. The problem is the goalkeeper guessed that I was going to do that because I scored already 1 goal. We were a draw, is the winning goal. So the less kind of thing to do is doing a Panenka over there. Like Hakimi did it in the World Cup. No one ever thinks about that, so that's why it worked. My problem was that the goalkeeper had that in his mind, I think, and I guess, and I said like, I feel like this guy is going to do this, and he saved it, and he was like, okay. Thankfully, it wasn't our way. We didn't win, but then we qualified in 4th place. Like it didn't happen. It didn't have like a very big repercussion, thankfully, But it's part of it, man. It's part of it. You'd never know if you don't try. It's like you never know.
It speaks to your larger thing about don't be afraid to fail. Go out there.
That's the situation.
Bet on yourself.
And I recognize
it.
Of course. Like that. Yes, man. It's not about saying, because of no. There's no because. When you do a mistake, you do a mistake. When you know you could do something better, it's part of your responsibility. So your responsibility of your reality, basically. That's my mindset in a kind of way.
Chicharito Hernandez joining us on behalf of Frito-Lay. You'll see the commercial, I presume, over the World Cup final. Really much appreciate the time. Thank you. Thank you for joining us and being so insightful.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. It was a great conversation. Thank you very much.